Yeah, my name's JSD. I'm a member of Manchester's Virus Syndicate. We're a collective that's mainly known for making vocal, I suppose, dubstep, you might say, but our style spans across lots of different genres of music. So yeah, that's basically me, and that's what I do. I've been MCing since like high school. I probably first started having a little mess about in primary school, but very much influenced by drum and bass at the time. I got a little bit more serious about it when I was in high school. Drum and bass was the main thing for me for a long time until it's difficult to break onto the drum bass scene in Manchester. It's very cliquey, like lots of music is. You know, it's hard to get in there, and it's grime and garage. So it was more garage at the time. That sound was evolving, and sort of found that was a way in for me initially. So I was about 15, 16 when I joined my first group. We had like a couple of residencies at local clubs in Manchester. The rest of the lads were a little bit older than me, and we had like pirate radio. So that's initially when I first properly started MCing, getting used to it as sort of a profession more than just something I did as a hobby. And now I'm 25, and joined Virus when I was about 18. And that's really when things became a lot more serious, because a lot more sort of business focused.
So what kind of made you go down the MC route rather than get involved with producing? Because you're a big fan of music. What made you pick up a mic rather than a laptop?
Well, to be honest, I've always enjoyed words, and I've always enjoyed listening to people express themselves through words. I like to read, and I like poetry and all that sort of arty-farty crap, what most people say, what a load of nonsense. But yeah, I'd like to say I was quite a cultured dude. So I reckon as a part that had a part to play in it. But I do actually, produce beats myself, and I DJ'd actually before I MC'd, I reckon, properly. So I've done quite a bit of producing, and I like instruments. And with the Virus Syndicate thing, although there's 3 MCs and a producer, and even when we work with other producers, etc., we all have input. There might be a riff which we feel needs changing, or I might play something on somewhere. So we all collectively, although I'm an MC and that's sort of the path I went down, it's a bit of everything involved, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So was there any kind of techniques you were working out through the any really looks up to
Yeah, well, definitely. At very first, it was a guy from Manchester called Trigger. He was like a jungle drum and bass MC, and that, for me personally, he was like a big inspiration, because he was on all the tape packs, like the Hysteria and the One Nation and all these things, and he sort of, to me, he was representing Manchester. So at the time, when you're young, that sort of hooked me in. So definitely them guys, and then sort of it evolved a little bit, and people in different scenes now, what I say would have influenced me in some way. Even guys like Dizzy Rascal and Wiley, people like that, but also a bit of UK hip hop and a bit of US. To be honest, I'm into so much different stuff, and there's so many inspirations, like guys like Immortal Technique, Jedi Mind Trips, some real sort of US hip hop stuff. But really, I'd say the main MCs what influenced me throughout my sort of developing as an artist were definitely the other Virus MCs, and seeing how they work and how they structure rhymes, and we really bounce off each other. So initially, when I was a kid, there was inspirations, but as soon as I got with the guys, they were just totally my main inspiration.
So do you kind of feel that you take a different approach when MCing to dubstep then compared to when you were MCing to, say, drum and bass? Is it a different thought process, or...?
Not really, not for us. I think we've just tried to maintain the same ethic what we always maintained. Something we were really aware of since being together years ago. We've been together about 6 years now. We always wanted to have something to say. We didn't really just want to come and shout a load of nonsense on music, and we, as much as we want to smash a crowd and we want to hype a crowd, and you know that's obviously a top priority when you're out doing live shows, is to absolutely smash the place, and we do that standard. But we want to do it through something a bit deeper. And if you actually played it back and listened to the set, you know, we'd have something to say. We're not just toasting the crowd, and we're not just hosts. You know, we're artists, and that's what we try to carry that through from back in the day, really. And even when we first started doing the garage thing and the grime thing, we used to do Rinse FM. Well, back like towards the beginning of our careers, and our sort of type of garage we produced and made, it was always a bit darker. It was always a bit more like dubstep anyway. So it's just really been a continuation. I think now the approach we're taking is changing a little bit recently, because we've not just been working on dubstep music. We've been like working on different styles and different genres, and I think recently we've learned to appreciate much more what a catchy hook and a nice bridge can do for a song, whereas previously it's just been it's got to be the tightest lyrically, you know, it's all about the lyrics, and don't get me wrong, it still is all about the lyrics, but it's all about doing that and accompanying that with having something catchy and something which people who are dancing in a club can get onto, and you know, just something that people can jump on straight away.
So it's generally kind of good combinations within the music.
Yeah, definitely, man. It needs a balance. I think everything needs a balance, and we're really beginning to understand that. Yeah, I'd say it's just a natural continuation of where we were always at, really.
So what do you kind of make of this kind of moody MCing, as it were?
It depends, really. It depends on an individual track. Some of it's hype and it has its place in the scene, and it has its place in every scene. Yeah, man, I like some of it. It just depends. It gets a bit too much when one person comes out with a certain style of doing something and the rest of the UK just batters it. You know what I mean? It becomes a bit monotonous then. But I think like there's the next hype tune, isn't there? Temper T. You know, it's a bad tune. It goes off in a club now. Some of the stuff he's talking about, you might say, yeah, well, you know, he's just hyping up robbing people and guns and so on and so forth. But I reckon, you know, that's what artists have done for many, many years, through hip-hop, through grime, through whatever, even through like rock and roll music. You know, it's an expression in it, and it's a way of portraying a modern day society. So I reckon it's got its place, definitely, man. But again, for me personally, and for Virus, I'd say it's all about balance. You know what I mean? We wouldn't just come with a barrage of those sort of tunes, but everything's got its place, I reckon.
So tell us exactly how you got involved with Virus Syndicate and Mark 1.
Yeah, well, for me initially, I was doing my thing with a group. Them guys sort of started having kids and just stopped being motivated, and I was still really on it at the time. And the lads approached me first to come down to Rinse FM and come and do a guest slot with them. And like I said before, like when I say things clicked, and instantly they'd have a rhyme about something, and I'd have a rhyme which went with it, and it could have gone on a song the next day. You know what I mean? Like the two rhymes were practically about exactly the same thing, and we went through the whole like 2 hours or something continuously. Goldfinger, he's called at the time. We call him the Kid now. He'd come out with a bar, and I'd be thinking, I've got a bar to follow this. So it was just really natural, man. And from then on, the guys, you know, spoke to me and said they really like me to start getting more involved. And from then on, it was just pedal to the metal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, kind of explain the process when you go into the studio. How does that kind of work out for you, and how do you transfer what you've laid down in the studio, you know, into your live performance?
Well, with the studio, how we normally do things is it'll be me, Nick, and Marvin, me, Nick, D, and we're the MCs. We'll basically get whichever beat we're going to use, you know, whether it's a MRK1 beat or whether it's a different beat, and we'll get in together and we'll discuss it and just come up with some ideas, throw some stuff around, and then from there we literally just write on the spot, and we actually record all the stuff ourselves. So we'll just lay down the track, do what we think we want, and